4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Just one.
Again?
1, 2, 3, 4. Justin.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Again?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to MBG Speaks 101 Season 4, Patriarchy, Power, and Pussy. And so I am very esteemed today to have someone significant with me. I'll introduce him a little bit, but let's recap. So you know that this thing was generated out of our concern for the Me Too movement. And also out of our concern that in light of everything that was going on, Brett Kavanaugh is Supreme Court Justice. Yeah, okay, whatever. Anyway, we felt it was necessary to address patriarchy in society. But not just patriarchy in society. We wanted to kind of talk about privilege, power, and how patriarchy and power will then bring the pussy straight up. So today, guys, I have an awesome individual with me. Justin. I'm gonna let him introduce himself because he does that very, very well. But yeah, so Justin is here, and we're gonna really focus in on power today. Patriarchy is gonna come in as a component because we're talking about the power that a lot of men use to dominate. So, Justin, welcome to MBG Speaks 101.
Glad to be here.
And so we will have a conversation just like we would have if we were in your living room or mine, right?
Absolutely.
All right, so Justin, tell the people a little bit about you and what you're doing, and then we're gonna jump in.
Yeah, my name is Justin Farrell. I'm in business development for S&P Global Market Intelligence, which is essentially the rating agency, the company that owns the S&P 500. I've done a lot of community work and I'm in the process of starting my own thing. So.
Okay. And guys, just a little bit of background. So, and I think this is going to come out in this conversation. So we probably going to make some personal references amongst the two of us. But it's really interesting that we both originated in the same area. We were born in the same area. And until we removed ourselves from that particular area, did we really figure things out relative to how much we appreciate our upbringing, but also how much work that needs to be done outside of our respective area, and that we are well received in the realm that we are in now. So with that being said, I'm very, very excited. So tonight, patriarchy, power, and pussy. Power. We're bringing power to you. And no, this is not the show Power. But we're going to talk about power.
That's where you was going with it.
You know what?
I said, yeah, I can talk about ghosts all day.
See, men. But we're gonna make this thing interesting. The first thing is we're gonna kind of look at the definition of power. But while we look at the definition of power, one of the other things that we're going to do is we're actually going to talk about 6 different types of power. And the interesting thing is that most people are like power, like force, things like that. But we're going to define power in terms of it being a noun and in terms of it being a verb. Okay, so power as a noun, and I'm going to give you a textbook definition because I know there are those of you out there who fact check everything, and that's fine with me. So, textbook definition, when we're talking about power as a noun, it is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, or the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behaviors of others or the course of events. Now, I want you to listen to this again. Power is the ability to do something or act in a particular way, or the capacity or ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of an event. Hashtag shooting up people in church. I'm just saying. All right. In verb format, supplying something with mechanical or electrical energy, or to move or travel with great speed or force. When we talk about power this evening, we are talking about power in the sense of a noun. And as we move into talking a little bit more about next week, we'll be talking about it in the sense of a verb. So the part of the definition that we're focusing on tonight is the ability to direct or influence the behavior of others or the course of an event. And so with that being stated, let's jump into the 6 types of power. So you have coercive, you have reward, you have legitimate, you have referent, you have informational, and you have expert power. And before we jump into talking about our respective components of power, the first thing I want you to understand is that coercive power is at the top. It's at the top of the ladder. You should know what coercion is. It's forcing somebody, threatening somebody, bullying somebody, fear, dissatisfaction, and resentment. Basically, if you don't do this, you're going to regret it. Reward. Basically, with reward power, it's like this. You do this, I'm going to give you that. Kind of like fraternizing, for lack of better terms. Legitimate power comes from being in a position or a role. And basically, when I talk about legitimate power, Justin is going to address it, but I want you to understand that with legitimate power, there's no forever. With legitimate power, you have power while you're in that role. Once you're out of that role, you don't have that power anymore. So I need you to think about that. Referent power is interesting because referent, informational, and expert, it all kinds of runs together. So referent power is your ability to attract others. So you're charismatic. You can build loyalty with them. Now, referent power can be a positive or a negative. Referent power can be a negative if you're 45 because you attract people, you're building with people, you're building their loyalty, but is their loyalty for the betterment of society? Or it can be a positive when you look at various organizations that are working to support people and help people and build up people and communities. And if an individual who is a leader of an organization such as that, referent power is awesome because when you're in nonprofits and you're in service organizations, you want to be able to attract others and build loyalty with them. And that type of power comes with great respect and values. Informational power, when I think about informational power, I think about the media because you're using numbers or statistics to more or less prove, persuade, or make someone feel something. It can be positive or negative. And these are some of those scare tactics. And finally, the expert power. And that can be dangerous because if you're the only one that knows how to do the job, or if you're the most knowledgeable in the area, that can be a problem. So you know what, Justin? Let's just dive right in. So I'm going to talk about coercive power real quick. Coercive power, I haven't seen it much in the workplace. I've heard about it, but I haven't seen it much in the workplace. But when I think about coercive power, I think about being in prison. And I think about, the big man in prison, and he's like, look, nah, we're not doing this. You gonna do this. You gonna go steal this. You're gonna go steal that. And this is how we're gonna do this. Or either I'm gonna do X, Y, Z. I think about bullying. I think about coercive power in school. I think about, the students who seemingly have more popularity and they use their popularity or their strength, so to speak, to bully other kids. So coercive power, is nothing positive about coercive power. Straight like that. Nothing positive about coercive power. And another thing I think about coercive power, I think about the things that are going on with the whole Me Too movement. And women are coming forward, but then some of them are recanting because of whether it's money, whether it's fear, So coercion, just know that coercion is nothing positive about coercion. Coercion is negative. Now, this whole concept of reward power. My thing is, I always associate reward power. I just think about athletes. When I think about reward power, I think about athletes. And the reason I say that is because reward power is, if you do this, you'll get this result. So think about if you have a young lady with low self-esteem who just longs to, have this beautiful life and she longs to be wanted. So he could say, somebody was savage, hold these drugs for me, and I'm saying, I'm gonna be your man, I'm gonna make you famous, those type things. Even in the industry. I think about it in the movie industry, music. Do this to get that. And the reality is that that's what it's still like.
Yeah. I guess I've seen both of those in the work environment, business environment. Because you end up with a lot of senior level managers that are able to reward you for the good work. And then you also end up with a lot of those same senior level managers that know that you have time ticking. They know that you have the opportunity to thrive in certain environments, and they'll coerce you. Either do this or sorry. Like in fact, I was talking to a guy a couple months ago. No, September, Labor Day weekend, and I said, "Well, why did you make your transition to a different role, a particular role?" He said, it's probably about 4 or 5 years ago. He said it was coming up on that time where they were, it was either you were in the middle of the hunt or you were at the bottom. If you were at the bottom, you were being X'd off. And if you were in the middle, you were being considered for different roles. And it was either you do or you die.
Wow.
And then happens. The money's there. You can still effectively make change. You can still effectively do what you have to do for work. But and then at the same time, if you're using that coercive power, you can still reward people. So I've seen them done both.
I guess just when I think about reward, I don't think about fear. But when I think about coercive power, I think about fear. I think about people inciting violence or inciting, saying, I'm gonna harm you if you don't do what I say you. Like, just I'm gonna punch you in your gut if you don't agree with me. If you don't vote the way I say you vote, I'm gonna jack you up. That's what I'm gonna do. So Justin, this concept of legitimate power. And guys, I just want to say, first and foremost, if you are out there and you need to break away from the TV, we are Facebook Live. For some reason, the privacy setting was changed to only me, so I have made that public. So now you can, watch us if you're, I know a lot of you probably trick-or-treating with your kids. Happy Halloween, babies, if you're watching with your parents. I hope you're really not watching because we get a little turned all the way up. And please, by all means, if you want to call in, 804-915-5202. All right, so Justin, this concept of legitimate power, and we know that legitimate power is from positional role. Now, being this is patriarchy, power, and pussy, you talk about your experience with legitimate power in your position, but kind of talk about it as a man, as a businessman, and as a black man.
Yeah. The way I think about legitimate power, I'll use 2 examples here. A white guy and a black guy. Harvey Weinstein. Who utilized his power to coerce. He he didn't have that. He was in the scene, he was in the industry, but he didn't have that fame. Rather what he had was the title. I can make you something. So when you talk about legitimate power, you do have that negative side of the industry, whether it's in Hollywood or whether it's in business. In business, I want to use a really good example of a guy by the name of Reginald Lewis. Reginald Lewis in the Black community was possibly the first Black billionaire.
Okay. Facts. Okay.
He constructed a $1 billion deal that was gonna bring a conglomerate of stores together.
Okay.
He had to go out and get the two investment bankers. He had to actually fund this thing.
Okay.
And he actually worked on acquiring Paramount. This was back in the 80s when it wasn't popular for us to have millions. This guy had billions.
So, but just let me ask a question real quick before you go any further. And no negative allegations of anything came up.
That's why I'm bringing him up.
Okay.
Because as a brother, it was unheard of.
Okay.
You didn't hear about him stepping outside his wife. In fact, his wife to this day, and she's Asian. Which is for a Black man to infiltrate an Asian family is extremely tough, especially back in the 70s and 80s. Patriarchy. That's right. But you see where he went entry level in investment banking as an attorney, and he worked his way up to eventually owning his own firm with the title CEO chairman. With the money, the $1 million home, the $1 million lifestyle, the $1 billion deal. So you manage to see where he's a legitimate guy. So between your Weinstein and your Reginald Lewis, and he's dead today, but between these two guys, you see how one can utilize their legitimacy in a negative way to try to coerce women. And then you have another guy who has donated, millions to scholarship funds and millions to schools to be built in his honor, even post-mortem. So you see the negative and the positive effects.
Okay. So with legitimate power, guys, one of the main things that I want to bring home is that I wish that our officials would use their legitimate power for more positive than negative. And the reason I say this is because when we think about this concept of legitimate power, generally people in those positions are using that power to coerce.
Well, you know what?
To reward.
But here's the thing: you gotta remember legitimate power. When you're a politician, it doesn't necessarily mean that you have legitimate funds.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Money, power, respect.
Money, power, respect.
Keep the line. All right.
You can be a politician. You can have the titles, city council, mayor, but if you have the CEO of Dominion that says you're going to do X, Y, and Z, what is that mayor going to do? If you have the CEO of the bank, the big bank in town, what are you liable to do? So you're utilizing your legitimate power to represent a portion of the community that may be underrepresented, but you can only move it so far.
So the second thing is that, Justin, with this concept of legitimate power, you can't move. See, people don't understand that. With the definition of legitimate power being that it is a role or position, basically what researchers say is that with legitimate power, once you're out of that position, and
that's unless you're institutional.
Facts.
If you're institutional,
very true.
You move,
very true.
You can't. But if you're not institutional, I'll use a perfect example here. Jamie Dimon, who's the CEO of JP Morgan, or I'm going to use a Black guy, Robert Smith, who is the chairman, founder, CEO of Vista Equities, which is a technology investment firm.
Okay.
But in both cases, you have guys at the moment that they step down from their positions, they can go anywhere because they still have a bank account that follows them.
And see, that's the thing that we want to kind of separate from this thing, because this is the thing. What whether men have money or not, you're still a man.
Right.
And that's what we were getting at with that whole patriarchy piece. White men have privilege. Black men just have their manhood. But you're still a man. In ranking, you're still a man and women are still inferior. But when we come to this concept of power, like you said, if you remove the money though, and you only have that positional power, what do you really have? Or do people put you in positions that have the money and give you that, the implication of legitimate power? Because this is what I see. And this is going to be really interesting that I say this, because, you know, this man has just really he gets on my nerves. But those money backers put this current president in office.
That's all right. And you and I have talked about this before.
And we have.
His opponent also didn't go to the states that she needed to go to.
Well, once again, legitimate power. I am in this position. I have this name, and I'm going to be okay. I am smart. I am intelligent. So I'm an informational. And see, you're taking me to another place, because what's happening is we'll have to jump the expert power, because she was the expert in the situation.
I can't be beat.
There you go. So let's look at it like this though. My concern is that these money backers put you in a position to make you think, because when you're mentally ill, people can easily persuade you to do something. So you're mentally ill, so people have put you in this position to give you legitimate power. And the first thing you do, lose your cotton picking mind and start signing executive orders. Why? Because I know that once I am out of this position or role, my legitimate power is null and void. I can't say that that would be true for any other president but this one, because this one was put in place for a reason. All of the other presidents had to work. The other night I said, where is Jeb right now? And people were looking at me like I was crazy. And I said, please give me Jeb. Because even I thought that the final ballot was going to be Hillary Clinton, Jeb Bush. Because expert power would say that they were the most knowledgeable about the situation. However, we got to think back to Andrew Jackson and the age of the common man. We're back there again. We're back to a point where we are building whatever we're building based on legitimate power and false informational power.
And to be a Jacksonian is that's actually quite revolutionary to compare him to Trump.
But do you really want me to take you there, or do you really want me to tell you how the Trail of Tears mirrors this border wall? Do you really want me to talk about how Andrew Jackson's FOIA system is indicative and representative of how Donald Trump put all these executives in office? You know how I feel about this kind of stuff.
It can be mirrored. I think I like to take you back to the second nature when we're talking about Jackson, and now that you bring up Trump. Trump's people would believe, his supporters would believe, that in the state of nature, man is functioning and is governed best.
Okay.
So I can see the parallel between the two. So I'm not disagreeing with it.
I think at the end of the day, I really think that my concern with legitimate power is that we have gotten to a point in society where people are fighting. I'm so sick of people trying to stick up under people that run for office. I look around this area, I look around our hometown, and I'm gonna keep it real. And you have these bandwagoners, and you have these individuals who gon' kiss so much butt so they're going to end up with hepatitis because they're going to get feces, infected feces in their mouth because they keep kissing and sucking so much butt. And the issue I have with this is, what are you going to have when these people get out of their position of power? You lost your self-respect. They're not going to respect you because you're kissing so much butt because you want a position. I understand studying to show yourself approved. I understand having a mentor or mentee relationship for the position that you want. But what I will not understand, what I will not do, and what I have not done is sit back and condone mess when I see it. Because my thing is, I would rather be in a position of power for only 4 years and accomplish something major than to sit on a council or to sit in a Senate for 30, 40, 50 years and I don't have nothing but a button and a title.
So that's when legitimate power becomes most influential. When you do have a position that in your next point of power really pushes that legitimate power to it excels that legitimate power. But the point being is that legitimate power over the course of 4 years, if you're looking at societal standards, is extremely influential and impactful. If you look at it from an institutional approach within society, and you look at the money backers, I don't think that legitimate power means as much. And I can give you a perfect example of that. Eric Cantor. As long as he was in Congress, he was good to go. You know, he was defeated when in the primary. Legitimate power. See what I'm saying? No, we haven't heard anything else from him.
Guys, listen, we're getting ready to take a break. But when we come back, Justin and I are going to tackle referent power, informational power, and expert power. All right, guys, seriously, you hanging out with Lillie Mae and Justin, and this is MBG Speaks 101 Season 4, and tonight we're talking about power. If you have to go out and take your babies trick-or-treating, please tune in on Facebook Live, and hey, trick-or-treat, eat your candy, check your kids' candy too. All right, we'll be back in a few minutes. Hey everybody out there in Facebook land. Sorry about the mishap, but the video is public now. So please share. If you want to call in, the call-in number is 804-915-5202. We would love to hear from you. We are talking about power, and we covered a couple of aspects of power. So just hang out for the next 1 or 2 minutes, and we'll be back on TV. If you're watching us on TV, if you're watching us on Facebook Live, hang out and you will get the behind the scenes because it gets real behind the scenes. But, you know, I didn't want to go too hard because I was going to go hard. But I'm respectful of you and your position. I am. Well, I struggle though. I struggle with this whole concept of legitimate power because the area that we grew up in. You know, and I will say this for those of you out there in Facebook land who feel like we grew up in the country. Danville is a small city and it's not the country. We have street lights, we have sidewalks, we have a mall, we got all kinds of stuff.
How many stoplights in Danville? I'm joking. No. Well,
Danville's a good city. Danville is a small town with big city amenities.
Okay.
What I mean by that is,
we got breweries everywhere.
Yeah, you do.
We got crimes and gangs and same thing.
I was joking, bro. I've been to Danville before.
So, and guys, please understand, you can, if you have to leave out, you can either revisit the feed on Facebook or you can listen to the audio on Spreaker on Saturday at 12 noon. This will air in the place of Sipping Tea with MBG. So please, by all means, check us out. But yeah.
Well, I think legitimate power it comes with status. It's paired with status.
Well, that's what it is.
And so, I mean, like, honestly, like, and what's funny was I think you avoided it, and it was strategic. But the Bill Cosby situation.
Yeah,
it was strategic because that.
Well, but here's what I did. What I did was I compared your Harvey, and naturally you're gonna say Bill when you say Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah, and
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, and we're back. Welcome back to MBG Speaks 101 Season 4. I'm your girl Lillie Mae, and this is Jay Pearl, my long-time love-hate relationship, all of that. So basically what we're going to do now is we are going to try to get this thing together because we really don't know which way we're going with this whole concept of power, because what's happening right now is that I have an individual here who definitely has been in positions of, I'm going to say, I don't want to say power because he might not like power, but positions of influence, because he's very positive. One thing I can say about Justin, ever since I've known him, and this is going to come out, when we get to talking about referent, informational, and expert, I know he gonna come this way. So y'all know he gonna come for my jugular and I'm gonna go back to his, but it's all good. But what I want you to understand is, let me just recap. We talked about coercive power. And coercive power references that bullying, that threat, that fear. But then we talked about reward power. And I referenced reward power relative to athletes, to those individuals in the music and TV industry. And the reason I did that was because I just feel like the thing about reward power is the reward has to have some kind of perceived value. So you can't have reward power if there's no value. You feel what I'm saying? And then we ended this segment with legitimate power. And that's basically power that you only have because of your role or position. And the idea behind legitimate power is that once you're out of that placement, you have no more power. All right, Jay. Now we're going to step into the last three concepts of power. Referent power. This is the power that it gives you the ability to attract others and build loyalty and gain loyalty from them. All right. I think this is where my strength is. I think that I am a mixture of legitimate, referent, informational, and expert. I think for me, I'm those four.
I agree.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take that as a positive right now. The respect and the values. I feel like people may not like me, but they will respect me. And I've always felt that way. And I know a couple of people who don't like me, and I really don't care, but they respect the fact that I am who I am. And if I say it is this, that's what it is. And I'm not going to really stray away from it unless I myself find that I need to try something else. You feel what I'm saying? And that referent power, though, when we look at it relative to patriarchy, power, and pussy, that referent power is the reason a lot of these men are in the situation that they're in. Because they were charismatic, or they had the ability to attract people based off of their class status and power, or their money, or I have always said, since the Me Too movement started, and guys, let me just throw this out there. The Me Too movement, I hate to say it like this, did not just start with all of these white women coming forward. The Me Too movement started back in 1996 with a black woman who tried her darndest to get this to be a movement, and she was in Philadelphia, and nobody listened to her. Nobody listened to her until like a year or two later, another organization came in, got some money, and Me Too. So do your homework. I want you to go back and fact check me, because we talked about this once before on 17 with MBG. All right, but back to referent power. So I always said that I personally, I would never say that these women were not sexually assaulted. I am a female. I know what it feels like, to be in a position where you really don't want to deal with somebody, but they seem to want to force themselves on you. I get it. But what I'm looking at is, I personally feel like some of these situations were situations where these women were promised positions, they were promised roles, they were promised growth. And when that did not come through to fruition, what happened? They lost respect and they lost their loyalty to these individuals. I sincerely believe that, especially with Matt Lauer. With him, I feel like that's what happened. I feel like that happened with a couple of other people. You know what's really interesting, though? And this is kind of off topic. But the allegations against Morgan Freeman, there's nothing ever came of those.
You know what? When all of this stuff came out, I texted you and I said, I wonder what would happen if things came out in small towns, including Richmond, Danville, and Charlottesville. What would happen to the local community? Because women, it's funny, right? That, and women, I'm speaking to you. It's funny that we're willing to have a national movement, but you haven't yet impacted your local community.
Hello.
So to me, I find that interesting. Now, let me say this also. As a brother, we don't have our movement. We need a movement.
Well, that's why y'all got us.
Yeah,
MBG is for y'all.
We appreciate that.
See, you're here, but you need to know the mission. We were founded because of you guys, because y'all kept getting shot down.
I know.
So you need to know we got you. But I agree. I agree. And you know what? Our call to action for this season of MBG Speaks is vote. But you know what, Amber J, and you know what, before we go any further, let's pause. We want to send out condolences to Amber J and her family in the passing of her uncle. We have to make sure that we are sincere in our efforts simply because Amber J that's my right hand, that's my 50. When I was going through things, Amber J stepped up and said, look, I got this, go do what you got to do, and that's what we offer you. So Amber J, we love you. Your family is in our prayers, and we definitely, we see you holding it down in the social media world, though. But going back to that, call to action. Brothers, if y'all are watching Facebook Live or on TV, listen. You need a movement. And to me, personally, your movement needs to center around respecting yourselves, loving yourselves, restoring your own honor and humility. Because one thing about it, and I'm going to say this live and publicly, I love the essence of a hardworking Black man. I love the essence of a hardworking Black man. I'm not knocking you, Jay, in your suit, because y'all know Justin being his 3-piece, he be doing his thing. But, his 2-piece, pop the collar. But that's significant. That's significant. And you know what?
She like brothers with gangrene on their hands.
See, y'all.
We'll let y'all know. The harder you work, the better.
Y'all see, this is the type of, this is the reason. Oh, he threw so much shade. He went in. All right, but we're going to leave that one alone. Okay. So let's talk about informational power, Justin. And guys, informational power references the statistics and the numbers. And I always feel like statistics can be a positive and a negative. And it seems like with the media and with politicians, it's always negative. So Justin, talk a little bit about your knowledge of informational power. Because I know with you being in the finance industry and you worked a lot with politicians and a lot with services and things of that nature. Talk to us a little bit about informational power and the concept that you have of informational power in business, finance, and society.
Informational power is really, it can either lead to positive movements, or it can be a referendum for propaganda.
Okay.
It can be that Hitler or Trump. And the reason why I say Trump is because everybody knows Obama was born in the U.S. So we can say that now. But I want to bring a parallel as I deal with legitimate power to two guys, but I want to do it to two sets of guys.
Okay.
One with Trump and Obama.
Okay.
How Trump utilized information to get to where he is by pulling out, and it is what it is. The numbers speak. He pulled out a base with propaganda.
He did.
That rallied and voted.
So
we were talking about earlier.
Brilliant strategy. Brilliant strategy.
So we were talking about earlier with Hillary, and also the Russian collusion. You know, so when we were talking about earlier with the type of power that she might have had, and missing that vote in Wisconsin, and also in Pennsylvania, there are two major swing states there. So, but where I'm going here is how Trump was able to utilize propaganda to pull out voters and suppress other voters.
Okay.
Right.
Okay.
And then he utilized Obama, who essentially did the same thing. You know, when he ran in 08, he utilized information. He utilized the stock market. And speaking of finances, when the stock market tanked 3 days back to back to back, and then the housing crisis hits, you know, it was the perfect brothel for Obama coming out and winning.
I don't think you want to use the word brothel when we're going to talk about pussy next week, so you might want to check.
But regardless, it was a perfect housing situation, or perfect situational environment for Obama to rise. Because of the deterioration of the financial world.
Gotcha.
But for the Black community, I want to use not Malcolm and Martin, but I want to use Booker T. Washington and W.B. Du Bois. Talk to me. Because, and they came about in two different eras. But you have Talented Timothy and you have Booker T. Washington. That, and here the parallel is that Booker T comes first, enters into the political scene, although he grew business. You know, he grew a Black community, he grew a university, and he said, you know, Black people, build your families, build your society, build your business. And upon doing that, entering politics, Du Bois came through and said,
by any means necessary.
Essentially, you know, yeah. But with him, it was more so, it was more so, don't worry about infiltrating business, infiltrate politics. And if you infiltrate politics, then you can impact business. And I think that the outcome of the Black community has been the latter with Du Bois, and it's also been part of the failure of the Black community. So I'm somewhat biased here, but I want to tie this back in the information that was received. Both of these guys were extremely educated, well educated. So the information that they received, and the power they received, they also distributed to the community, came to the books and where they learned. So understand where Booker T. Washington was educated was where? HBCU. In HBCU, you realize quickly that you need money to thrive. Whereas Du Bois was educated HBCU, but later, and he was also raised by a white family and received learnings from people that were Harvard educated. So when you enter into that realm of the world, you see where politics moves. So when you're in the upper echelon of the elites of the world, you see that in finance and politics they run hand in hand. And you're taught, even being Black in America, enter into politics, impact the dollar. It doesn't work like that. So that information, having informational power, only goes as far as the information that you're receiving and what you're administering.
There you go. Because
and let me use another example here. I want to show you the fruit of their work.
Okay.
Look at Atlanta.
Facts.
Look at Tuskegee. Booker T. Washington. And look at where those Black people, Booker T. Washington, close proximity to a major metro area, and look at Atlanta.
True. Wow. And I would never, just never make a correlation. Awesome. But the interesting thing is that's why referent, informational, and expert power go together, because informational takes us into expert.
Right.
Because you can't be an expert without the information, without the education. And so the interesting thing is that being an expert, you know, being the most knowledgeable in an area is awesome. Because people are going to have to buy that knowledge from you.
Right.
I think it becomes detrimental when you are the only one with that knowledge and something happens to you. Then you gotta learn how, when, where, why, all over again. And personally, when I think about expert power, I honestly cannot think of anybody that I would really sincerely say has expert power.
Not in the sense of politics.
Mm-hmm,
Well, society realms. You know, your expert power comes when you have an organization and then you hire your PhD. That PhD becomes the expert. So, you know, if I'm building an organization,
I don't know, Justin.
well, look, in theory, if you're a rocket scientist, you know, and I hire you at Procter & Gamble, you know, then you're going to be able to create my next whatever product, you know.
Okay. Yeah, okay. So, and shout out to Amber J. Amber J holds it down in social media because Amber J wanted to piggyback, and she wanted to say that Booker T is responsible for Hampton Institute, also known as Hampton University today. And you know, it's interesting that you talked about Booker T and W.E. Du Bois, because when I was teaching my BA US history students, they couldn't grasp it. So I said, all right, Booker T is to MLK as W.E.B. Du Bois is to Malcolm X. And when I put it to them like that, they understood where I was going. Because W.E.B. Du Bois was more militant than Booker T. Booker T was like, you're going to get educated, you're going to work for what you want. W.E.B. Du Bois was like, you're going to create this, you're going to take it, it's yours. And seemingly, Malcolm X was just a little bit more militant about it. But if you think about it, even with Booker T and W.E.B. Du Bois, as they became older, they began to come a little bit more close to the center. As Malcolm X and MLK reached near their death, they began to reach their core. So,
the example is, one is heroin here in the U.S., you know, and the other died in Africa. You know, so, and I don't, you and I, we've had this conversation before. I don't necessarily disagree, but I respectfully disagree slightly, because my parallel is that I haven't seen a black Booker T. Washington between Malcolm, Martin. Yeah, I put both of them into the pocket of W.E. Du Bois. Because both dealt with politics. Martin, who was moving into his economic campaign, his economic development campaign for the black community, didn't get a chance to fulfill it.
Okay.
So upon his death, we don't know what happens. Now, we can bring in others, you know, that are examples, but it's kind of tough.
Yeah. Okay. So guys, overall, go back and research it for yourself. We have discussed the 6 different types of power: coercive, reward, legitimate, referent, informational, and expert power. The biggest thing I want you to get from this is that power can be a positive. In the words of Amber J., it's all about the intent. Personally, I know that I have power. And this is only power that those individuals close to me, meaning in my family or my close circle, know about. They also know that the reason that I don't actively utilize those powers is because I saw historically what using those powers can do. But the other thing is, in the words of my mom, what's gonna be is gonna be. And so Even if I don't want to access my power, it is already fixed. And no matter where I am or what I touch, it's going to work. And I think that's the message that we want to exude to you. You are powerful. You have a God-given power. But you have to find it and figure out what type it is. And you have to start to fertilize it. But you have to fertilize it the right way. And you have to use it with good intent. Okay. Current events. One of the major things is vote. Guys, please get out and vote. And the thing is, forget the parties. My thing is this. I get it. Down through the years, Republicans, Democrats, whatever. Before there were Whigs, Republicans, Democratic Republicans, like any of that. There were Federalists and Anti-Federalists. And what you need to understand is that those were not political parties. Basically, the Federalists believed in big government, banking, and industry like that. And the Anti-Federalists were against big government. They felt like this all power should be reserved to the states. Guys, we need to use that mentality as we go to the polls. Research the candidates and don't listen to what they're saying. A really, really significant individual to me been telling me all the time, watch behaviors. Stop listening to words. You're listening to words, but the behaviors are already showing you what time it is. So go back, guys, and look at these people's track records. Look at what they voted on. Look at where they were. Look at what they've done and where they were. All that type of stuff. But stop pulling out the negative, because this is my thing. I don't care how many hoes you had. I don't care how many husbands you had. I don't care if you straight, gay, all around. I don't care what it is. I don't care about none of that. But if you can balance a budget, you have my vote. You feel what I'm saying? We got to stop worrying about all this stuff. And you know what? I'm talking to my black people because black people are the worst. I don't care if you don't want me as your politician because I wear big hoop earrings. I have long fingernails. I'm tatted from head to toe. And I wear a lot of jewelry. And I'm very, very, very loud. But I will say this. I dare you, no, I triple dare you to align my knowledge, skills, and ability with anybody's knowledge, skills, and ability that's in local, state, or government office. And I guarantee you, if you cross our names off of those documents, you won't know who's who. And I say that to say this. Stop discounting yourself because you don't have letters in front of your name or behind your name. Some of the stupidest people I know have letters in front of their name and behind their name. And they have titles. Common sense cannot be taught for real. Life experiences will afford you so much more. And see, I know there are a lot of you out there saying, well, how can you say that? You got all these degrees, da, 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 da. You know why? It's because I have all these degrees. That's why I can say it. Because I know that if it weren't for the things that my mother and father taught me, and how my daddy taught me how to maneuver, and how my mother taught me how to stand on my own 2 feet no matter what and speak what I'm going to say and mean what I say and say what I mean. Had she not taught me that, I would be one of those educated fools. One of those individuals who sit around and persecute their own people because they don't understand why there are individuals who aren't as educated as them, but they're climbing the ladder so fast. And they're in positions to make change and to impact, but they don't look the way you think they should look. See, I get sick and tired, and this is where power comes in. I use my referent power to build the respect and loyalty of others, to let them know I have it here. I don't care what I look like because I can dress the part if I need to. But I'm tired in 2018 of having to make myself look like somebody else just so that the world will accept me. There was an incident, and I'm not going to put anybody's business on blast, but I'm going to say this to you. For the first time in 33 years of my life, I witnessed someone of the other persuasion say the word nigger, not nigga, nigger, openly, blatantly, and in the most inconspicuous manner ever. And guys, I shocked myself because I didn't react the way I felt like reacting. Never did I think that coming to Richmond, Virginia, and even though I was in Hanover County when this happened, I never thought coming to a metropolitan area that I would experience that. Because we grew up in Danville, Virginia, who holds strong to being the last capital of Confederacy. Big Confederate flags flying on every piece of private property you can. And never once did I experience something like that. So at 2 o'clock this morning, I called my 80-year-old mother and I said, Mom, I can't sleep. Like this man literally said, and I'm not going to say the word, but he said, F you nigger, blatantly and openly. And I don't know how I felt. But I had to call my mother because I know that my mother lived at a time when it was nigger, colored, Afro, Negroid, white only, colored only. But just to think that in 2018, you know what my mother's response was? Lil, don't go back to the establishment because you don't know if he just waiting for another crowd of y'all to get there so he can come and shoot it up. Now, we dealing with the word nigger. And we dealing with the fact that this individual openly said, F you nigger. And nobody in that establishment made him leave or anything. Now, had I walked up to him and punched him in his face, I would be locked up right now, right? I say this because this concept of power is real. And little do you know, you do have power based off of your skin color. You got power based off of your genitalia. And I'm a living witness that power is what is causing people to act a blame fool. I have never in 33 years of my life felt the way that I felt last night. And people have said something, you know, I've been through some stuff. But I will never, as long as I live, forget that individual with no teeth in his mouth, snuff running down his lip, saying, F you nigger. I will never for the rest of my life forget that. Guys, get out on November 6th and vote. Show that bully in office that you will not stand for anybody who has made it so okay to say anything that they want to say to anybody, no matter who it hurts, no matter who it offends. It is not okay. You want to make America great again? Get out November the 6th, vote, and take your towns, your regions, and your communities back. Because we built these United States of America. So if you really want to know who has the power, we hold the power. The Native Americans. Guys, Justin, thank you for being with us tonight. Guys, you just heard Power on MBG Speaks 101, Season 4, Episode 3. We love you and have a great